Kirby Smart's shown you over the years he doesn't care what anybody thinks about the way that he handles his quarterbacks. But that didn't stop one SEC coach from calling him out way back in 2017. Hey Dog Nation, I'm Brandon Adams. It's time now for our classic moment presented by Classic City Lager. And on Saturday, Georgia will take on the Vanderbilt Commodores a week after there was some attention paid to how Georgia coach Kirby Smart handled his quarterback situation. You'll remember that Stetson Bennett, the presumed backup, was briefly inserted into the game, even though quarterback JT Daniels, the starter, was healthy enough to play. Bennett threw a pick after having a record-setting performance the week before that against UAB, and obviously the way in which Smart handled his quarterbacks ahead of the game against Vanderbilt created quite a bit of chatter. It's actually somewhat reminiscent for Georgia of a similar situation going back to the game against the Commodores in 2017, where at that time Georgia was also dealing with a lot of drama when it comes to the quarterback position, with Jacob Eason, the starter at the beginning of the season, sustaining an injury. In for him steps Jake Fromm. Jake Fromm had played well. Eason was presumably healthy enough to return, but had not yet retaken the reins. Eventually, we obviously found out that Jake Fromm would have that job as Georgia quarterback, but going into that year's game against Vanderbilt, Dog fans weren't sure. Would they see Jake Fromm? Would they see Jacob Eason? It led to, quite possibly, a little bit of a frustrated Derek Mason to lash out at reporters. In fact, a look back at that moment is our classic moment for the week, presented by Classic City Lager. Here is Derek Mason, the then Vanderbilt coach in 2017.
I believe, Fromm, is the guy. I believe Easton's an extremely talented quarterback, but that's up to Kirby, who he decides to go with. He's not fooling me. If that's what we think we're doing here. That young man, Fromm's won ball games. He just came off a 48-0 win. We can quit with the coaching dramatics. When it's all said and done, they're 5-0. They're a good football team with lots of talent. They're playing extremely well. And, hats off to Kirby because he's done a great job.
Ultimately, Mason was correct. He tabbed Fromm as the starting quarterback, and it was Fromm's job for the rest of the year. And the game against Vanderbilt wasn't close, as really no one had expected to be. But as you might imagine, Smart probably wasn't too thrilled with the idea that Mason stirred the pot with the coaching dramatics line in regards to Fromm and Eason that week back in 2017. Smart was asked about that, and he gave a pretty typically terse response when these kinds of things come up. Here's Kirby Smart.
Again, Derek Mason's entitled to his opinion. Derek Mason's he's not at our practices. He doesn't watch our practice tape that I know of, so I'm not really concerned with those comments.
For a lot of Georgia fans, I'm sure it seems somewhat odd that the same way there have been questions about the quarterback situation at Georgia this year, there were also those questions in 2017, and seemingly almost every other year at the Georgia program other than that. But no matter how that quarterback situation seems to unfold, Georgia always seems to emerge with a quality signal caller and winning plenty of games. And obviously Dog fans hope the same thing happens again this Saturday when they go to Nashville to take on the Commodores. That is our classic moment presented by Classic City Lager. And as you're preparing yourself for the game this upcoming Saturday, getting stocked up for your tailgate, don't forget, Classic City Lager makes a great choice. Available in 6 and 12-pack cans wherever you're doing your shopping. You can pick up some Classic City Lager as we head towards the fall. You love that lighter lager-style beer. That's what Classic City Lager is, but there's no sacrifice on flavor. It's a craft-style lager, so great care taken with each and every one of the cans to make sure the beer inside tastes great the way that you would expect it to from our